Okay, so welcome to the last session, the final breakout. What you're seeing here is a short selection that Alison put together of the documentary she's making on the construction of Rubens, showing you some video associated with the site. You get, it's just terrifying. So you want to look at that. You get a real sense of the scale of this telescope and this project and all of the people who are working on it. Okay, great, thank you. We'll run it again at the end. We'll keep going through it. Okay, we'll just leave it. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you all for being here. So first of all, it has been an incredible amount of work putting this together, and it would not have been possible without Fatima and Kristen. It's everything you see is 1% of all the work that went into setting up this space, all of the communication, and it, from the Science Organizing Committee perspective, this has been one of the most smooth meetings that we have ever run. So we wanted to just thank Fatima and Kristen. Can you just stand up, everyone? Thank you for all of the work that you've actually done in terms of helping us. Thank you. So now we get. Now we get to do the final report out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the technical use cases, and for each technical use case, spokesperson will be identified who will just give us a 2-minute summary of where we are with the use case and the write-up of that use case. So I'm going to go through these. So I'm going to start with catalog cross-matching. And you probably want to hit the button so that people can.
So I'll report out for our group. We spent the morning taking the debrief slide from yesterday and using it to fill out the use case template. We're adding nothing's changed since what we reported yesterday in terms of the use case itself. So there are two major groupings. One is real-time cross-matching. The other one is offline cross-matching, and the issues are scalability and just distributed operation. We're putting everything into that into the use case document in Google Drive. It's linked in the Google Drive in the right at the right place, and I also posted the link to Slack. So I'd encourage everyone to go and take a look at that document. Look at how responsive it is to your science use cases. If there are things that you want to add, please either suggest or just go ahead and add them to the text. And we'll be doing that. We'll be improving that document, improving that write-up through Friday, and try to get it to a point where it's ready to be migrated into the overall framework of the white paper.
Series had 4 separate subgroups. I'm going to walk through those 4 individually. So visualization.
Yeah, that's me. I was going to do that. So today, because we had Leanne with us, we expanded a little bit beyond time series and worked with visualization as a whole. But basically, we were able to list a lot of science use cases that we talked about yesterday and some new ones, and like really relate those specifically to requirements for the software that we needed to execute those science use cases. And I think those all been translated in the document. And I think just going from there, we needed to like flesh out a bit more what this means at a deeper kind of technical level for those things to happen.
I think you can get this done by the end of this week.
Possibly, maybe, yes.
So anomalies are next.
Yeah, so we had participants from pretty diverse science cases. I found that to be very useful for generalizing our kind of workflow for how we're going to process LSST data in lots of different ways. So there were people from AGN finding anomalies in supernovae, outbursts from comets. We struggled to generalize, but I thought it was a useful exercise anyway. And I think we also, what we did well was being able to identify gaps in current tools that we'll need to fill before LSST comes on, or in the first couple of years, in order to enable finding anomalies in all those different spaces. So we have the framework down, and now it's just filling in the details in the document.
Features and statistical representations. Did you?
So we started to generalize what those features can mean from different aspects for transients and variables that can help like build like an algorithm to classify them on a feature-based analysis and statistical representation. And we started, draft our technical document, and we will try to end it by the end of the week.
Fantastic, thank you. And then parametric.
Hi. So today we start to talk a bit about the communalities and about providing a unified interface with a common data structure for all the different parametric fits. We already have a bit of structure in all the sections of the template, so now it's only a matter of fleshing out each section a bit more.
Great, thank you. Our next photo Z.
Yeah, so I'm going to summarize for the group. So today we continue to work on the three cross-cutting, photo Z infrastructure areas that we had talked about yesterday. So one was photo Z representation and storage, one was uncertainty quantification, and one was science-driven metrics. So we have draft use cases for all three that we've been working on and trying to make sure that they reflect multiple different extragalactic and cosmological science cases. And we have writing assignments, and I think are on track to have those in a good state by the end of this week.
Okay.
Right. So we have a technical document put together. The thing that we realized today was that basically all science cases will need some use of selection functions, but everything is going to be pretty customized. And so what is actually needed is more work, which is tutorial creation for people to learn how to build their own selection functions for specific cases of like RR lyras or AGN variability or something like that. So that's all written up in the doc.
Fantastic. And the next one is reprocessing images.
Yeah, so pretty much everything we said yesterday still stands. There's a need for cutouts, the ability to define custom sizes and custom shapes, and then also the ability to reprocess those cutouts along the way. We also did identify a new case today where localized access to the effectively all difference images and all calibrated exposures would be useful for custom GPU-based codes. In general, the document the bullet points have been turned from bullet points into actual paragraphs, and there are still some more kind of redundant things at the bottom that need to be cleaned out, but I think we're confident we'll get it done by Friday.
And the last one is image classification.
Yeah, so our group took the table that we generated yesterday, which was columns of use cases and rows of functionality. We assigned names to each row and started and added one row, and which was to basically deal with generating and analyzing synthetic images or images with artificial sources in them as part of the science use cases. And then for each of those functionalities, started coming up with a bulleted list of requirements that software be able to do. So we're up to like 13 pages of requirements now, and so I think our task will be to distill and boil it down and revise.
Okay, that's really great. Okay, I think that's technical use cases. This is just to show both the before the pandemic, I guess during the pandemic, and then post-pandemic on the right-hand side. Maybe. So we'll actually put this out on the Slack channel. That we had to do a little bit of color balancing. You're not popping out of these pictures at the moment in terms of the balance of the color, but we will do that. But thank you all for coming. What we're going to do now is just talk a little bit about the next steps and the timeline. Okay, so what we'd like to do is thinking about it in terms of the short time scale, meaning this week, and then thinking about a little bit longer in terms of creating the white paper. So the first thing that we'd really like to get done is by the end of this week is to finish the drafts. They don't have to be perfectly wordsmith. But we'd like to get the technical and science use cases in place by April the 1st. So the end of this week, so that we have all of the material in place. So there were lots of notes, there were lots of sub-files and folders as we're going through and merging different science cases and technical cases. So some of the things we'd like to do just in terms of cleaning up the structure of the folder that contains all of the science and technical use cases is if you have something that was from an older iteration and you don't think it's worth, it's already been incorporated in some other document, because you can't delete files on the system, if you can just put deprecated in the file name, that will allow the science organizing committee to organize those files and those use cases that we should actually be reading through. Please make sure that your name is on the science and technical use cases if you contributed to any of the discussion, not necessarily just the writing. What we want to make sure is that we can give credit as we go through the creation of the white paper, and we also want to make sure that we can reach out to you to ensure that what the ideas that you put down or the requirements that you're describing, that we can actually follow up to get some more detail if questions come up. Okay. The goal is to create a white paper collaboratively, which means that everybody here, and in fact anyone else outside of the workshop participants who are excited about this white paper, can and will be encouraged to contribute. If you have, and most of the cases have many contributors to each one of the science or technical cases, if you can just highlight one person who will be willing to be an initial point of contact, who will, and as it says here, if you can just write facilitator next to it, then we'll use that so we're not just bombarding or spamming everyone with lots of email. We'll reach out individually. We will keep the Slack channel, the meeting Slack channel open. It is an open channel to anyone in LSSTC. So if you go back and you're talking to one of your collaborators and they become interested or excited about the work that we're doing here and the white paper that we're going to be producing, please feel free to add them into the channel. The Slack channel is public. They are welcome to join. As I said, one of the visions of and the goals of Link is to be as open and inclusive as possible into the way that we develop both our science and our software. So end of this week, if you can get the drafts done, that would be fantastic. What's going to happen next? So what we want to be able to do is to develop the white paper. And I will confess that this slide was being written while I was talking. So we're going to read it together. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So the next steps that is going to happen is the Science Organizing Committee are going to work through the use cases and technical use cases. What we're going to try and do is to identify what are the common themes. So based on all the discussion that we've had, it's been clear that there are technical areas, whether it's visualization or whether it is selection functions that cross, or time series that cross a lot of the different science cases that we're interested in. So what we want to do next is we're going to go through and try identify themes that emerge from the science cases and the technical descriptions, and use that to define a structure for the white paper so that it isn't just a series of use cases in some appendix, so that we can actually summarize it, and also so that we can actually address the questions about how to take these use cases and use them to build an inclusive collaboration. So that will be part of the section based on the breakout session that we had this morning. So if you're interested in particular in writing text on building collaborative and inclusive collaborations, then please reach out to Jenno or to Tim, as they will be taking the lead on that. Okay. So we will send out a follow-up email message next week, which will describe the next steps in more detail and put in the timelines. Mario and Will have very kindly offered to be the manuscript editors. And so this is an ambitious schedule that we tried to set for ourselves. So finish the use cases at the end of this week. We will create, a week later, we'll create the initial overview.
Could you please speak by the podium for everyone on Zoom?
We will create the initial overleaf, and we'll have the structure associated with that overleaf. And then our goal is within the first 2 weeks after that is for us to have initially have the facilitators start leading through the actual putting the text into the overleaf, with an ambitious goal of trying to have a complete document done by May the 1st. And the reason to have this ambitious schedule is so that we don't forget. We all have many competing workloads, and so what we'd like to do is to make sure we maintain the momentum of this meeting as we go forward, so we actually produce something that is actionable, so we can start talking about what the next steps are after that, which is how do we build this software, how do we build this collaborative initiative, meaning link. We just wanted to do a quick review of, if you are interested in getting more involved in LSST, we would strongly encourage you to take part in the data preview 0.2, so DP 0.2. And that means to sign up to or apply to participate in the second phase of the data previews. And this will provide you with a better understanding of the data that's going to come out, of the tools that are going to be used, about how the Rubin Science Platform works. And so it is a wonderful way to begin to engage with the software, with the visualization tools that are going to come from Rubin. Also encourage you, a number of you I know are not currently in LSST Science collaborations. It is very easy to join them. There's a link here. We'll post all the slides. There's a link here that allows you to, shows you how you can join a science collaboration. You can join multiple science collaborations. There's no limit on the number of science collaborations you can actually sign up for. And also, we strongly encourage you to sign up for the mailing list associated with Link Frameworks, where we will be sending out general updates on the progress of Link Frameworks, including future design workshops, future initiatives for incubators or visiting fellowships. We promise not to spam that mailing list too much. Okay, so on behalf of the Science Organizing Committee, we really wanted to thank you for all of the work that you've put in over the last couple of days and all of the preparation work you did in terms of reading about LSST, in terms of thinking about the science that you want to do and how that translates into technical cases. Our goals when we came into this meeting were to enable interactive development, to think about the science that we wanted to do, all of the exciting science that we wanted to do, and to identify many of the common themes and computational challenges and techniques that need to be addressed in order to enable us to do our science. So the goal is always science, but creating the software and software infrastructure that makes that science possible. Just from myself, just the conversations that we've had in the last 2 days have been frankly amazing. I mean, it's really been impressive to see the breadth and the depth of the discussions that have happened across all of these different tables, all of the different tables and the breakouts. So thank you all for all of the work that you've committed to. We all realize that it is, a lot of people are tired, and a lot of people have put a lot of work into this. So thank you for that. And then also, it's been really great to talk through how we establish something like LINC or LINC frameworks, how we establish in an inclusive and collaborative manner, and to talk that through that at the starting point of creating LINC. And so having your thoughts and discussions and ideas about this has been really helpful. We hope you got something out of this meeting. We look forward to working with you both on the software and on the science. And this is really, for us, it's just the first step that we want to take. So on behalf of Rachel and myself, on behalf of the whole of the Science Organizing Committee, we want to thank you. We wanted to let you know that you can continue working here through 5 o'clock this afternoon. So feel free to sit down to continue working through the use cases. And other than that, we wish you safe travels on your going back to your institutions. So anything else, Rachel? Okay. So thank you very much. It's been a great meeting.
I guess the last thing is there is lunch still today, so you're welcome to eat.
Fiber optic cable in to the cable wrap and get it all the way up to the top. That's Gemini and SOAR.
12, 13, 14, 15. ¿Dónde ustedes y esas son las que hay? Me llama la atención porque no vi que faltaron estopas. Y después estas dos fueron utilizadas por ellos. Entonces quedaría ese espacio y dos más. Pero no sé la mesa. Vamos a moverlo por la escalera.
That's the cable wrap.
En la segunda. ¿Pasó? ¿Hay que apretar todos los discos?
This is the 13 fiber optic cables. I liked how the vacuum looks like R2D2. So that's Comcam. That's the mirror cell and the dummy mirror, that's the coding chamber.
Bueno, entre paréntesis, ¿qué es lo que quieren los astrónomos? Quieren un espejo que refleje así. ¿Ya? Eso no es. Entonces, si yo combinando aluminio en el M1 y M3 y plata en el M2, voy a llegar a algo como estoy siempre sobre los requerimientos que yo necesito.
So that's Tommy. He was in charge of the coating chamber, and he's saying if you combine aluminum and silver, you can get the science. And these guys are checking the cushions that protect the mirror, the M1, M3.
Como esta parte fija, esta parte está fija, esta parte es la que hace el amortiguador con la goma. Lo que hacemos es tomar una medida X acá, una medida, y la vamos anotando para poder tener en este caso un margen para 2 meses más seguir midiendo.
So they're right underneath the mirror. Because there was an earthquake, there are earthquakes all the time. They're checking the displacement of the pads that protect the mirror.
Ese es 52.
That's a meeting of the security, the safety team from all the different subcontractors in Reuben. And then this is
the first attempt at removing the camera and inserting the camera. And they're reviewing the procedure.
Claro, pero ese tú lo puedes guiar a mano, cuerdas, en cambio girarlo no, de pie.
That's the shutter. They're working on the seals around the shutter. And this is the only woman working on construction outside. Her name is Joanna, and she's a civil engineer from Colombia. And the guy she's talking to is a roofer, and he has one leg. And I just love that. Alexi lost his leg in a work accident, but still works on roofing.
Lo que rinde especial a esta cúpula es que es una máquina que rota. Entonces, no es fácil una estructura así grande que se mueve a la solicitud del telescopio, porque se tiene que abrir y cerrar de acuerdo a cuando le sirve el telescopio para observar.
There's the telescope.
Entonces, tú no estamos con las puertas, estamos en 30 ya, para una persona acá,
That's the end of the day. Those foxes used to hang out around the kitchen. This is Etta Karina, taken in March 2017 from the summit.